Imagine standing on the edge of a battlefield, your heart heavy with doubt, your purpose shaken, your soul searching for truth. This isn't a scene from a movie. It's the powerful opening of the Bhagavad Gita, one of the most transformative spiritual dialogues in human history. Today, we dive into the wisdom of the Gita, chapter by chapter, as it was spoken 5,000 years ago and preserved in its purest form by Srila Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita as it is. Let's unlock divine wisdom, practical guidance, and timeless truth. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The Bhagavad Gita opens with a gripping and emotionally intense scenario on the sacred battlefield of Kurukshetra, where two dynasties, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, stand poised for war. The blind king Dhritarashtra, whose sons have instigated this catastrophic conflict, anxiously inquires of his minister Sanjaya, "What did my sons and the sons of Panda do when assembled at the holy land of Kurukshetra, eager to fight?" This question sets the stage for the entire dialogue that unfolds. Sanjaya, blessed with divine vision, begins to narrate the events. The Kaurava army, led by the proud and shrewd Duryodhana, is mighty and well-equipped. With renowned warriors like Bhishma, Dronacharya, Karna, and Ashvatthama, Duryodhana feels confident, but he is also cautious. He tries to inspire his men while sizing up the strength of the Pandavas' side, revealing his inner anxiety beneath the mask of arrogance. Meanwhile, Arjuna, the heroic prince of the Pandavas, arrives on the battlefield in a majestic chariot drawn by white horses, with none other than Lord Krishna as a charioteer. At Arjuna's request, Krishna places the chariot in the middle of both armies, so Arjuna can see who has come to fight. As Arjuna surveys the battlefield, a wave of emotion crashes over him. He sees in the opposing ranks his own family, grandfathers who taught him, uncles who guided him, cousins who played by his side, and teachers who molded his intellect. What he sees is not a battlefield. It is a field of relationships. Overcome by grief, Arjuna's body trembles, his mouth dries up, and his divine bow slips from his grasp. He sits down in despair, heartbroken and unwilling to fight. This chapter reveals the internal struggle that precedes the physical war. Arjuna's moral confusion, compassion, and emotional turmoil reflect a universal dilemma: the battle between duty and emotion, righteousness and attachment. The Gita begins not with answers, but with a question that every sincere soul asks: what is the right thing to do when the heart and the mind are in conflict? Chapter 2. Contents of the Gita summarized. Krishna, witnessing Arjuna's collapse, responds not with comfort, but with spiritual awakening. He questions Arjuna's weakness in the face of duty, declaring that such behavior is unbecoming of a warrior, especially one of noble character. Arjuna's hesitancy, Krishna says, will lead not to honor but disgrace. Then Krishna begins to unfold the eternal truth of existence. He teaches that the soul, Atma, is eternal, unborn, and indestructible. It does not die when the body dies. Just as a person changes clothes but remains the same, the soul changes bodies through different lifetimes. Understanding this, Krishna says, should remove all sorrow and fear from Arjuna's heart. He explains the concept of dharma, duty, especially the specific duty of a kshatriya, a warrior. For Arjuna, his sacred role is to fight for justice and righteousness, not to retreat out of emotional attachment. Krishna introduces Karma-Yoga, acting in line with one's duties without attachment to success or failure. It is the path of detached action where one works without selfish desire. Krishna also speaks of equanimity, treating pain and pleasure, gain and loss, victory and defeat with the same calm. The wise do not cling to outcomes. They remain centered. This detachment leads to inner peace and spiritual progress. He concludes with a call to action. Perform your duty, stay balanced in all situations, surrender to divine intelligence, and thus transcend the binding effects of karma. This chapter sets the philosophical foundation of the Gita, introducing the eternal nature of the self and the transformative power of detached, conscious action. Chapter 3. Karma-Yoga, the path of selfless action. Despite Krishna's revelations, Arjuna remains confused. If spiritual knowledge is superior to action, why is Krishna urging him to fight? Krishna then delves deeper, explaining that while renunciation of action is ideal for the spiritually advanced, most people must first engage in karma-yoga, performing duties selflessly. He emphasizes yajna, or sacrifice. Every action, Krishna says, should be an offering to the Supreme. When people act for their own pleasure or gain, they become entangled in karma. But when actions are done as a divine offering, they purify the soul and lead to liberation. Krishna describes the divine cycle. The demigods provide resources like rain, which supports agriculture. Humans, in return, perform sacrifices to honor and sustain the gods. Breaking this cycle causes suffering and disharmony. He warns against hypocrisy. Those who pretend to renounce action but remain attached within are deluded. The true yogi is one who acts with purpose and devotion, without selfish desires. Krishna emphasizes svadharma, one's own prescribed duty, saying it is better to imperfectly perform one's own role than to do another's perfectly. Each person has a unique path based on their nature, and to live in harmony with that nature is the essence of spiritual practice. This chapter encourages a life of service, humility, and dedication to something greater than oneself. The karma yogi is active in the world, but not entangled by it, a model of spiritual dynamism. Chapter 4. Transcendental Knowledge, Jñāna-Karma-Sannyāsa Yoga. In Chapter 4, Krishna peels back the veil on his divine nature. He reveals that he has spoken this timeless knowledge before to the sun god Vyasa, and it was passed through a line of saintly kings. Over time, the chain was broken, and now Krishna is re-establishing it by sharing it with Arjuna. Arjuna is astonished. Krishna is his contemporary, so how could he have existed thousands of years earlier? Krishna reveals that although he appears in human form, he is the unborn, eternal Godhead. From age to age, he descends to protect the pious, destroy evil, and re-establish Dharma. Krishna then explains how those who understand his divine nature do not take birth again. They attain liberation. He elaborates on the concept of Jnana-Yajna, the offering of knowledge. Just as material sacrifices purify the body, knowledge purifies the consciousness. One who understands the soul and the Supreme performs all actions without attachment and remains unaffected by karma. Krishna urges Arjuna to approach a spiritual master, serve him humbly, and inquire with sincerity. True knowledge dispels ignorance like sunlight dissolves darkness. Even the worst sinner can be purified by the fire of transcendental knowledge. This chapter integrates devotion, wisdom, and action. It shows that selfless service, when informed by divine knowledge, leads to liberation. Chapter 5. Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Arjuna once again seeks clarity. Should one renounce action or perform it with detachment? Krishna explains that both renunciation, sannyasa, and karma yoga lead to liberation, but karma yoga is easier and more accessible. The karma yogi offers all actions to the divine without selfish motives. Such a person acts through body, mind, senses, and intellect, but is not bound by the results. Even amidst the world, he remains untouched, like a lotus leaf in muddy water. Krishna describes the qualities of a liberated soul. He is detached, steady, unaffected by honor or dishonor, and sees all beings with equal vision. The wise recognize the soul within all, regardless of external form. True happiness, Krishna says, does not arise from external objects, but from inner connection with the divine. Those who conquer desire and anger, who live in self-discipline and inner balance, attain peace. This chapter beautifully outlines the spirit of karma yoga, a life of active engagement guided by inner freedom and love for God. Chapter 6. Dhyāna-Yoga, the Yoga of Meditation. Chapter 6 introduces the path of Dhyāna-Yoga, or meditation. Krishna describes the true yogi as one who is disciplined, self-controlled, and free from ego and selfish desire. Such a person neither craves material pleasures nor retreats from responsibilities. To meditate, one must find a serene and clean place, sit steadily, and fix the mind on the Supreme without distraction. Krishna emphasizes balance in life, moderation in eating, sleeping, working, and recreation. The mind must be trained like a flame protected from the wind, steady and unwavering. Krishna explains that when the mind is conquered, it becomes the best friend. But if uncontrolled, it becomes the worst enemy. A yogi who maintains discipline and devotion experiences spiritual joy, bliss, and unity with the divine. Arjuna asks what happens to one who fails in their spiritual practice. Krishna reassures him, no effort is ever lost. One who strives sincerely is reborn into favorable circumstances and resumes the journey in the next life. Finally, Krishna declares the supreme conclusion. Of all yogis, the greatest is the one who worships him with love and unwavering faith. Bhakti, devotion, is the highest form of yoga, transcending all others. Chapter 7. Knowledge of the Absolute. Chapter 7 marks a pivotal shift in the Bhagavad Gita. After laying down the groundwork of Karma-Yoga and Dhyāna-Yoga in previous chapters, Krishna now ushers Arjuna into the intimate depths of Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. Krishna begins with a solemn promise. By practicing devotion with a focused and sincere heart, Arjuna, and by extension, all spiritual seekers, can come to know Krishna completely, both in his personal form and his cosmic presence. Krishna unveils the dual aspects of his energy. The material energy, apar-prakriti, comprising the 5 elements, mind, intelligence, and ego, and the spiritual energy, para-prakriti, which animates all living beings. The material nature is his separated, lower energy, while the spiritual energy is his personal expansion. Everything in creation, animate and inanimate, is thus a combination of these two energies. In this way, Krishna is the foundation and essence of all that exists. Despite pervading all, Krishna notes that few recognize him as the Supreme Being. Most souls, bewildered by material illusion, Maya, fail to see beyond appearances. He categorizes those who approach him into 4 types: the distressed, the inquisitive, the seeker of wealth, and the wise. Of these, the wise person who seeks Krishna out of pure love and knowledge, recognizing him as the source of everything, is most dear to him. Krishna also explains that many turn to demigods for quick material gains, though these desires are fulfilled by Krishna through the respective demigods. Such worship is temporary and confined to the material world. Only those who worship Krishna directly attain the eternal goal. This chapter is deeply personal. It shifts the relationship from philosophical to relational. Krishna is not merely an abstract absolute. He is the loving Supreme Person, accessible through love, devotion, and surrender. He invites us not only to understand him intellectually, but to embrace him with our heart and soul. Chapter 8. Attaining the Supreme. Having listened intently, Arjuna poses several deep philosophical questions. What is Brahman? What is the self? What is karma? What is the material world? Who is the Supreme Being? How does one attain him at the time of death? Krishna answers each meticulously. Brahman is the imperishable spiritual truth. Karma is the force of actions that drives the soul's cycle through birth and death. The self is the eternal individual soul, distinct from the body and mind. And Krishna, the Supreme Person, is the ultimate goal of all knowledge and action. Then Krishna reveals a profound secret. At the moment of death, whatever state of consciousness one maintains determines their future. Those who remember him at the time of death attain his eternal abode and escape the cycle of rebirth. This memory is not random. It is cultivated through a life of discipline, meditation, and unwavering devotion. He describes the transcendental world, the Vaikuntha planets, where time has no dominion and from which no one returns. This eternal realm, superior to even the highest material heavens, is the destination of the soul that chooses Krishna with exclusive devotion. Krishna elaborates on the two paths taken by departing souls. The path of light, associated with knowledge and purity, leads to liberation. The path of darkness, associated with ignorance and attachment, leads to rebirth. Yet Krishna's devotees transcend both paths by always remembering him. This chapter is a wake-up call for conscious living. Death is not to be feared, but prepared for. Krishna doesn't ask us to run from death, but to meet it with courage, clarity, and love for the divine. Chapter 9. The Most Confidential Knowledge. Now Krishna opens his heart and reveals what he calls the Rajaguyam, the king of secrets. This knowledge is both the highest truth and the most accessible to those who are sincere. It is the wisdom of devotion, and it promises the highest reward, eternal union with God. Krishna states that he pervades the entire cosmos, yet remains detached. Like air within space, or pearls strung on a thread, everything rests upon him, though he is invisible to the ordinary eye. The entire material world functions under his supervision. He illustrates the repetitive nature of the material world. At the end of every cosmic cycle, all beings are absorbed back into his material energy. At the beginning of the next, they are again manifested. Yet Krishna remains the unaffected witness. Despite his omnipresence, many reject him, dismissing the personal God in favor of impersonal speculation. These people, trapped in demoniac delusions, are bound to ignorance. On the other hand, Krishna describes the lives of his devotees. They are constantly chanting his glories, striving with determination, and surrendering all endeavors to him. Krishna emphasizes that anyone, man or woman, merchant or laborer, can attain him through devotion. His grace is not limited by caste or culture. Even the most fallen can rise to the highest perfection through bhakti. He concludes with a verse of profound promise. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer homage to me. In this way, you will surely come to me. I promise you this because you are very dear to me. This chapter is the core of the Gita's message. It reveals the unconditional love of God for the soul, and how the path of bhakti is the open road to the Supreme, regardless of one's starting point. Chapter 10. The Opulence of the Absolute. With Arjuna's faith deepening, he now seeks a deeper realization of Krishna's greatness. In response, Krishna begins revealing his divine manifestations throughout the universe. His opulence, or vibhuti, is limitless and shines through all that is beautiful, strong, wise, and sacred. Krishna states that he is the origin of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from him. The wise, understanding this, worship him with love and awe. Their hearts are absorbed in him, and he personally grants them the wisdom by which they can return to him. To help Arjuna and us perceive him more clearly in everyday life, Krishna lists specific vibhutis. Among lights, he is the radiant sun. Among stars, the moon. Among rivers, the Ganges. Among warriors, he is Rama. Among serpents, he is Ananta. Among mountains, the Himalayas. Among seasons, the spring. He is the taste in water, the ability in man, the strength devoid of selfish desire. Even the letter A in Sanskrit, the root of all sound, represents him. He is the beginning, the middle, and the end. By meditating on these manifestations, devotees can feel Krishna's presence everywhere, in nature, in people, in art, in knowledge. This is the yoga of seeing God in everything. Krishna concludes by saying that all these manifestations are but a spark of his splendor. This chapter expands the heart. It shows us that Krishna is not distant. He is here, right now, in every breath, every sound, and every beam of light. Chapter 11. The Universal Form. Filled with gratitude and awe, Arjuna now asks for a direct experience. He wishes to see Krishna's true universal form. Krishna grants this request by bestowing divine vision, spiritual eyes capable of perceiving transcendental reality. What Arjuna sees next is overwhelming. Krishna's form expands beyond the limits of space and time. It contains thousands of faces, arms, and weapons. The entire universe, galaxies, stars, beings, time itself, is seen within him. His body is adorned with celestial ornaments and garlands, shining like 1,000 suns. Arjuna witnesses divine beings bowing, offering prayers, and trembling with reverence. But he also sees a fearsome aspect. Warriors from both armies rushing into the flaming mouths of Krishna's form, crushed between his teeth. This is the form of Kala, the eternal time that devours all. Terrified and awestruck, Arjuna bows and worships Krishna, acknowledging him as the source of all beings, the original teacher, the destroyer of worlds, and the timeless supreme. He offers apologies for treating Krishna casually as a friend and charioteer. Krishna reminds Arjuna that the outcome of the war is already decided. The warriors are already slain by divine will. Arjuna is merely an instrument. His duty is to fight with faith. This chapter is the climax of the Gita. It shatters the illusion of control and reveals the cosmic scale of Krishna's divinity. It is a moment of surrender, realization, and ultimate humility. Chapter 12. The Path of Devotion. Having seen the universal form, Arjuna returns to a question of practice. He asks whether worship of the impersonal Brahman or personal devotion to Krishna is superior. Krishna answers with clarity. Both paths can lead to liberation, but personal devotion, bhakti, is more accessible and joyous. Devotees who worship Krishna with love, fixing their minds and hearts on him, are most dear to him. He then outlines the qualities of a true devotee. Such a person is not envious, is friendly and compassionate, free from pride, content, self-controlled, firm in determination, and absorbed in thought of Krishna. They are tolerant in honor and dishonor, equal in joy and sorrow, and silent in wisdom. Even one who cannot maintain constant meditation can still attain perfection by sincerely engaging in regulated service. Krishna meets every soul where they are and lifts them from there. The chapter concludes with a beautiful list of traits. A devotee who is harmless, steady, detached, courageous, and pure of heart is exceedingly dear to Krishna. He declares, "Such devotees are very, very dear to me." This chapter is a song of love. It reminds us that devotion is not about grand rituals or intellectual acrobatics. It is about qualities of the heart, lived in simplicity, humility, and unwavering affection for the divine. Chapter 13. The Field and the Knower of the Field. Chapter 13 opens a new and profound philosophical discussion. Krishna introduces the metaphor of the body as the field, Kshetra, and the soul as the knower of the field, Kshetraja. Just as a farmer cultivates a field, the soul inhabits and experiences life through the body. But the body is temporary and mutable, while the soul is eternal, unchanging, and conscious. Krishna reveals that he, too, is the supreme knower in all bodies. While each living being is a knower of their individual body, Krishna is the ultimate knower of all fields. This makes him both immanent within all and transcendent beyond all. He then defines true knowledge. It's not just intellectual learning, but humility, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, self-control, detachment, constant awareness of the spiritual self, and unwavering devotion to the Supreme. A truly wise person perceives the soul within all living entities and sees the unity beyond apparent diversity. Krishna further explains the difference between matter and spirit. Matter is unconscious and changeable. Spirit is conscious and eternal. The Supreme Soul Paramatma, resides in every being, observing and guiding. Understanding this duality is the gateway to liberation. This chapter invites deep introspection. We are not merely bodies or minds. We are eternal souls situated in a body, and our true self is beyond all temporary labels and identities. It challenges us to cultivate spiritual vision in a material world. Chapter 14. The Three Modes of Material Nature. In Chapter 14, Krishna reveals the operating system of material existence. Three fundamental forces called guas: sattva, goodness; rajas, passion; and tamas, ignorance. These modes shape every experience, thought, desire, and behavior in the material world. Sattva is light, clarity, and harmony. It brings peace, wisdom, and happiness, but also binds the soul through attachment to knowledge and virtue. Rajas is activity, restlessness, and desire. It binds through ambition, attachment to action, and thirst for results. Tamas is darkness, inertia, and delusion. It causes confusion, laziness, and destructive tendencies. All beings are influenced by these modes, which constantly interact and compete. Krishna explains how each mode affects our faith, food, work, knowledge, and even how we die. Our state of consciousness at death is shaped by the dominant gua we cultivate in life. However, Krishna emphasizes that the soul is beyond these modes. By practicing devotional service, one can rise above the guas and become spiritually free. The liberated soul is not affected by joy or sorrow, praise or blame, heat or cold. They dwell in their true nature, connected to Krishna. This chapter provides a powerful framework for self-awareness. It helps us recognize how the modes influence us and offers the path of bhakti to transcend them. Chapter 15. The Yoga of the Supreme Person. Chapter 15 presents one of the most vivid and poetic metaphors in the Gita, the banyan tree of the material world. This tree has its roots upward and branches downward, symbolizing how reality is a reflection of the spiritual world. The branches represent the senses and objects of desire. The leaves are the Vedic hymns, and the roots are our karmic attachments that bind us to this illusion. To escape this entanglement, Krishna urges us to cut down the tree with the axe of detachment and seek the eternal root, Krishna himself. One who finds a supreme abode never returns to this transient world. Krishna then describes the difference between the perishable living beings and the imperishable supreme soul. The individual soul, jiva, is a fragment of the divine, eternally connected, yet conditioned by material nature. It is the jiva that activates the body through consciousness and is responsible for perception, action, and experience. Krishna declares that he is the source of remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. He is the compiler of the Vedas, the object of all scriptures, and the ultimate goal of all spiritual pursuits. This chapter teaches that true yoga is not just about detachment, but about reconnecting with the Supreme Person through love and surrender. The soul's journey finds completion in union with its divine origin. Chapter 16. The Divine and Demoniac Natures. In this chapter, Krishna draws a sharp contrast between two fundamental natures found in humans: the divine, Devi Sampad, and the demoniac, Asuri Sampad. Those with divine nature are marked by fearlessness, purity of heart, self-discipline, nonviolence, truthfulness, compassion, humility, and steady wisdom. They are devoted to spiritual growth and live in harmony with Dharma. The demoniac are driven by pride, anger, cruelty, arrogance, lust, and ignorance. They deny the soul, mock scripture, and believe that life has no divine order. Such individuals are selfish, manipulative, and dangerous to others and to themselves. Their actions lead them deeper into bondage, suffering, and lower births. Krishna explains that divine qualities lead to liberation, while demoniac traits lead to degradation. He warns that those who discard the teachings of Scripture and act out of caprice and arrogance are doomed to spiritual ruin. However, he reassures Arjuna and all seekers that by following the guidance of the scriptures and practicing with humility and devotion, one can develop divine nature. This chapter reminds us that spirituality is not just about belief, it is about character. Our values, choices, and actions shape our destiny. By cultivating divine qualities, we align with our higher self and move closer to liberation. Chapter 17, The Divisions of Faith. Building upon the previous teachings, Krishna now explains how the three modes of material nature influence faith, austerity, food, sacrifice, and charity. Faith is inherent in all beings, but it is colored by the gua predominating in the individual. Those in sattva develop pure, steady faith in the Supreme and engage in spiritual practices with discipline and sincerity. Their sacrifices are done with reverence, without expectation of reward, and according to scriptural guidelines. Their charity is given to the right recipient at the right time with the right attitude. Those in rajas are motivated by prestige, ego, and expectation. Their spiritual acts are flashy but insincere. Their charity is done with reluctance or for show. Those in tamas act without understanding, driven by superstition or cruelty. Their austerities are self-harming or misguided. Their charity may harm others or be directed to unworthy causes. Krishna emphasizes that the syllables Om Tat Sat represent the supreme truth and should guide all sacrificial acts. Om signifies the absolute. Tat reminds us that offerings are to be made without attachment, and Sat represents truth, goodness, and auspiciousness. This chapter teaches us that intention matters. Even spiritual practices must be aligned with purity and knowledge. True devotion is not mechanical. It is conscious, humble, and guided by truth. Chapter 18, Liberation through Renunciation. The final chapter of the Bhagavad Gita serves as a grand conclusion, weaving together all the teachings into a cohesive whole. Krishna discusses the concepts of sannyāsa, renunciation, and Tyaga, relinquishment. While sannyāsa refers to giving up all actions, Tyaga means giving up attachment to the fruits of actions. Krishna emphasizes that true renunciation doesn't mean abandoning duty. It means performing one's duty with detachment and devotion, free from selfish desire. Actions rooted in sacrifice, charity, and discipline should never be given up. He then categorizes knowledge, action, intelligence, determination, and happiness according to the three modes of nature. This breakdown helps seekers assess where they stand and how to elevate their consciousness. Krishna urges Arjuna to follow his svadharma, his own prescribed duty as a warrior. He acknowledges that every action has some fault, but abandoning one's duty out of fear or attachment leads to degradation. It is better to do one's own duty imperfectly than another's perfectly. Finally, Krishna delivers his most confidential instruction: abandon all varieties of religion and simply surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. This is the essence of the Gita's message. Complete surrender to God is the highest path to freedom. Hearing these words, Arjuna's doubts vanish. His confusion dissolves. He bows with reverence and declares, "My illusion is gone. I will act according to your instruction." This final chapter is both a summary and a call to action. It encourages us to rise above fear, confusion, and ego, and to embrace life with courage, faith, and devotion. Krishna does not demand blind obedience. He invites conscious surrender born of love and wisdom. The Bhagavad Gita ends not with escape, but with clarity. Arjuna doesn't flee the battle. He rises to face it, now empowered by spiritual understanding. This is the essence of the Gita's message. Life is a sacred duty, and the highest yoga is to act with devotion, free from ego, guided by wisdom. Whether you're seeking purpose, peace, or a deeper connection with the divine, the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, offers a timeless path. Like Arjuna, may we all find the courage to rise, with Krishna as our guide.